Hi guys, this is Promise Trey Ganjube, first time YouTuber, and I chose to deal with things going on around in the world events and the Bible itself and lifestyle. Talk about lifestyle. So this other WhatsApp group that I'm in, a friend of mine posted a link and there was a title of a heading there that said family trying to live off-grid found dead. It was published by the Western Journal, a paper in the United States. The story itself is about two sisters, very, very highly motivated to go out and live off-grid, and their Van sisters, 41 and 42-year-olds, and they took with them a 14-year-old boy, packed their bags, their tents, going out for a very interesting expedition. I love camping myself. You would realize that these guys with novice camping skills or no skills at all to battle with the conditions of nature out there. But whatever may have motivated them, I think it's a very, very good thing. But what was shocking about these three people in their expedition, they were actually found dead in that camp. Some hikers who were passing through that area found those bodies lying in that campsite. But through successive autopsies, when they looked at these bodies, they found that they died of harsh weather conditions, which is your hypothermia and malnutrition. So these guys were starved and they were very, very cold, and it was found also that they were actually wearing multiple layers of clothing. The two sisters were actually found inside the tent, and the body of a 14-year-old was actually found lying outside just close to the tent, and it was actually suspected that they had been dead for some months when they were found. Quite a really disturbing story. Condolences to the family that lost those members. After that story, I thought myself, this actually should not happen to anybody. Because I love country living myself, I need to work around this. So what you need to consider when you have to move and live in the country. One interesting concept from the book of Luke, a divine concept from the book of Luke chapter 14 verse 28. For which of you intending to build a tower sitteth not down first and counteth the cost whether he have sufficient to finish it? So God is actually giving us an understanding. Whatever project you may decide or may need to embark on, it is very important for one to sit down and calculate the costs, the monies that are required, budget, and all those kind of things. So very important divine counsel there. So here are my steps. Number one, think. You need to think. You need to dream. You need to have a vision. You need to have. You need to visualize. You need to think. Why do you want to go live off-grid? What is it that motivates you to go country living? So you must think that. There's certain things obviously that may trigger that in your life. Probably this video can actually trigger that in your mind, and you start thinking and processing around that. You may have come across a presentation of some sort that motivated you, that challenged you. You may have been watching a country setting movie that you saw a beautiful scene and you're like, oh man, I'd like to live in that place. and this kind of motivation you may have come across. But those things, they come into your mind, you think about it, you dream, you visualize, then you see yourself, set up those. So you must actually have a dream. You must see how you see yourself in that particular place. So thinking, visualizing, dreaming about something is actually good. We are spiritual beings, so there is a need to connect to our spiritual power. As a Christian, I believe in God and in divine guidance of what I'm thinking and I'm dreaming about. So the second step is to pray. Pray about what you're thinking about. Pray about what you're dreaming about. Pray about what you want to do, so that God in His divine wisdom can, give us a clear insight and understanding of what needs to transpire and what actually needs to take place. So you have to pray over your thoughts and over your dreams that you have put together in your heart. And obviously you're taking things down. When you start thinking about something, when you start dreaming about something, take down notes, write things down, then you pray over that, so God can give you counsel, God can give you clear discernments and what steps you need to consider. You are traveling in an uncharted place. You have never been there before, or probably you may have, but you need guidance to do it right. After you have prayed, this leads us to step number 3. Do your research. Now that you have prayed, you have visualized and thought about it, now you need to get out, and you may start with internet research. You can start consulting, property agencies, property companies. You can start viewing properties that are up for sale. You can now start looking at the areas, consider the areas where you'd want to live in. You need to compare. South Africa has about 9 provinces, so you need to select which area you think your family, or you discuss this with your family together and start looking at viable options of the provinces that are available. And when you're doing your research, it's actually very important to consider certain things. You may need to consider the language of the province, of the people in the local community that live there, because if you're thinking off-grid, there's also, in terms of distance, something that you need to consider, about 40, 50, 60 kilometers to a central place from a town or a city. You need access to people, you need access to communities, you need access to certain centers. We are social beings. We don't have to live in isolation, though we can live in a secluded place. But now and then we need to interact with the community. So you look at such kind of places with access to these towns or cities, and also consider the local community. The language is very important in the province that you choose to live in. So you may need to learn the language, or may need to understand or speak the language, so that you can communicate with people there. So that's fundamentally important when you're doing your research. Now, you can select 3 areas or 3 provinces that you have interest in considering your off-grid lifestyle. Therefore, when you have chosen these 3 places, now you need to create a budget to go literally to those places. Now you need to interview people in the local community about the place. People that sell on the streets, like vendors, they're very important people as part of your research. Go to the local police station. Ask the police about crime statistics in the area. Very important in South Africa for you to know that. Go to the hospitals. Interview the people that work at the hospital. Go to schools. Interview people that work in the schools, principals, security guards in the areas, interview those people, talk to them. And when you're doing a research for an off-grid lifestyle, also a very important thing that you need to ask about is water sources. How easily available is the water? Is there a borehole that you need to drill? What are the meters of the water table when you have to drill going down? How much also it would actually cost you? You need to gather that information, because first things first, you need water access. That alone will solve all of your future problems when you know you can have access to water. So if you've gathered that data, the information, you come back, you sit down, then you analyze that information, and then now you can start choosing based on the data. Write down notes, take pictures, take video clips. That would actually help you also in terms of making a decision of the place. So you've done your research, you've gathered information, you have all these things in place, and you have chosen a place. So now, if you have chosen a place of your interest, now we get to step number 4. Step number 4 is very important. You need to know what you're going to do. So you need to know whether you're going to do farming. Are you going to purchase a plot? You're going to purchase a farm? Are you going to live in a local country community? Are you able to cultivate? Are you able to rear crops or raise animals and that you may sell back to the community to sustain yourself? Those are very, very important things you need to consider. Sustainability. If it's a farm or a plot, or are you going to do farming? Are you going to produce vegetables, grains, corn, soya? What is it that you're going to produce? But fundamentally, what is very important, despite whatever you're going to do, you need to be in a position or need to acquire a place that you are able to produce your own food. You can't live off-grid. You can't live in the country and be traveling back to the town or the city to buy tomatoes, cucumbers, onions, leek, celery, parsley, oregano, coriander, cabbage. All these vegetables, you must be in a setup to produce your own food. That's very, very important. So part of that, know what you're going to do, whether you're going to raise cattle, goats, you're going to raise chickens that are providing eggs, or you're going to raise chickens that are going to provide meat. Consider organic means and ways and methods. That's very, very important. You're going to raise your vegetables, you're going to grow. There are other things like that you can do off-grid. Your place, can it afford you to run a lodge or a backpackers of some sort? Are you able to create a campsite, come up with an orchard, and raise fruits that you can resell? A recovery center, recovery and wellness center. It depends with your passion. You have carpentry skills, or you can learn to do carpentry, can you produce furniture, brick molding, you can, start molding bricks that you can resell. You can run a school, a private school, an institution, or you can run an online school. So I'm just giving you ideas that you need to think around that and know what would actually be your sustainable means. After you have done that, you've considered that, this leads us to step number 5. Now, step number 5. You have gathered information, you have prayed, you have thought, you have visited places, you have seen everything. Step number 5, plan. Now you are planning, literally you've made a decision, you want to move. So you put things down. You need to have a plan. If it's actually needful, you can actually put together a business plan, because you're, as much as it is a lifestyle, you're going off-grid and country, and you may need to have a very sensible business plan in what you're going to do. Consult your family members that you're moving out with, what you guys need to put down together. Are you financially able? That you start creating a budget. How long is it going to take you from today to the time you're going to move? Are you going to have sufficient? As the divine counsel says, that you're going to have sufficient money to embark on this project. So you need to consider tools necessary off-grid and lifestyle living. You need to have a pick, you need to have a spade, an axe, a chainsaw, a hoe. You need to have a rake. You need some, basic tools to keep you running, because now you're living a practical lifestyle. So those are things you need to consider when you're going to raise your own vegetables or fruits or whatsoever. You need a tunnel. First things first, that can deal with weather conditions, a greenhouse, all those kind of things, they come into play, into budget. So when you're doing your researches, you obviously are seeing that there are needs in this area or that area. So the plan is put to paper, the budget and everything, you're putting everything together. And this now can actually drive you, motivate you to take that step off grid. So the comments, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, just click on the subscribe button, like and share.